Hey guys, Matty Baseball here. Back. It's been about a week since the draft lottery for the Super League video, and thought the video had a lot of problems with it, but got some good responses and a surprising amount of views. I think part of that it was posted on my buddy Terry's profile, so I know it was seeing some people that otherwise haven't been privy to my content yet. With how well the video went, I kind of wanted to keep giving this a try. Still like to write, but gonna be posting these videos on my site now. And Big news of earlier today: Bryce Harper signing 13 years to $330 million with the Philadelphia Phillies. And with that, pretty much is the last major free agent left. Guy that's going to really, I mean, there's guys out there, and even Dallas Keuchel won the Cy Young in 2015. Craig Kimbrell been one of our better relievers for like 6 years now. But you know, it's not we can look at these teams now and not give caveats like if so and so gets, we know the Washington Nationals are moving on. They're going ahead with their team now. The Philadelphia Phillies, very excited to have Bryce amongst the other guys that they acquired this past offseason. So we can really sort of judge these teams and not injuries will happen, and different stuff will create new storylines. It's always, things are always changing. It's beautiful. But now I thought was a good time to do like a snapshot of where each division's kind of at. And I have a reverse power ranking. So we're going to be counting down with the number 6 worst division in baseball for the upcoming 2019 season, all the way down to number 1. And I would like to hope that this is going to be pretty accurate. But surprise me, baseball, please. Surprises are always happening. It's just going to be a matter of what. But at any rate, let's begin with our countdown. The number 6 division. And honestly, I don't know if they're number 6 because there's baseball leagues all over the world, and I don't think that the AL Central. I think there's an argument to be made that really are they really 6? Are they 7th, 8th? The 9th best division? Like, do we look at the minors? It's been a rough last couple years for this division, the AL Central. They had one team last year that won 80 games. Indians fans are like, "What the hell? You're only giving us credit for winning 80?" Yeah, they won 91 games, but they're playing about 76 games against the teams in this other division. It's pretty rough when you have one team 91, everyone else below 80 wins, and then your bottom 3 teams with 98 losses. The AL Central last year was combined regular season record 353 and 457. That's a 436 win percentage. That's 104 games under 500. And even if you look at Pythagorean win-loss total, you're only looking at about a 10-win swing positive. It was a really rough year, and only one other division was within 40 wins of them, like in a negative way, because the AL Central was the worst, and that is the NL East. The NL East was only 39 wins better than the AL Central last year. I'm trying to remember, though. If anything happened in the NL East this offseason. Oh, yeah. Yeah, everyone signed there. Guys that were under contract got traded there. Uh, just about everyone was super busy. That's almost certainly the most improved division for this upcoming year. So, I mean, the gap between 5 and 6 has only gotten bigger, and that's not even accounting for the fact that the Indians are worse on paper in a lot of ways. The Twins might be better. They got healthy Michael Pineda and Nelson Cruz. White Sox have some interesting young players, but until they prove otherwise, they can't hit. They don't have that much depth still in pitching. There was a lot of thought that they were going to be closer to a 500 team last year. They ended up 62 and 100. That was close, but the division has so the Pacoda rankings for this upcoming year. They've got the AL Central as 2 of the bottom 5 as far as projected runs scored, and then 3 of the top 7 as far as runs given up. And honestly, that almost sounds optimistic to me. The Royals and Tigers still have nothing going for them. It's just trash amongst trash, pretty much. The number 5 division in the countdown, so that would be the second worst, although they're a lot eons better than the AL Central. The number 5 division, though, on our list is the NL West. They actually, if we did this at the end of the 2017 season, they're probably a resounding top pick for a lot of people. They had 3 playoff teams. I think Diamondbacks won 93, Dodgers won, I think, 104. Rockies wildcard team. Rockies again made the playoffs this past year, but things have been slowly falling off for them. Last year, the NL West was the 4th best in terms of win percentage at 498. They were 4 games under 500. Although Pythagorean win-loss, they would have been a few wins better than that. But they could have easily been placed 4th. 4 and 5 was a very close call here. There's still a lot to like. The Rockies appear to be here to stay. Dodgers are pretty much a powerhouse. Padres, definitely don't think it's going to be this year for them, but they got some good, young, talented players. Manny Machado, obviously the big signing there. But you got the Diamondbacks rebuilding. The Giants are just in a slow crumble. Maybe they sell a couple of their last noteworthy players from the World Series group in an effort to rebuild. But for now, they're just kind of stuck. I mean, it's not a bad division though. Like I said, 4 and 5 were very close. On that note, number 4 is the other division in the West, in the American League West. Last year, they were actually number 1 in terms of record. You had the Astros and A's combining for 200 wins. And the Mariners won 89, which was, I think, the 7th best record. So they had 3 of the top 7 teams in the American League last year. They went 436 and 374. That's a 538 win percentage. Their Pythagorean totals were just a little below that, 5 less accumulative. There's still a lot to like about this division, but Seattle is definitely my pick to have the biggest fall off in terms of wins. Last year, they were 16 games above 500 with a minus 34 run differential. They were very busy this offseason. They made a lot of moves, but they're for sure going to be worse. The fall was already coming, you might argue, and James Paxton, Gene Segura, Robbie Cano, Edwin Diaz. It's Nelson Cruz. It's going to be a rough upcoming year. Although I like a lot of the young guys that they got. This seems like a rebuild that could work. But as far as for now, Mariners no longer a factor. The Rangers are kind of forgotten about. There's a lot of really bad teams in the American League right now, but I think the Rangers could lose 100 games. They're pretty terrible. Some older has-beens pretty much filtered in there with a bunch of younger guys that the team was higher on a few years ago, haven't really panned out. The Astros and A's are probably going to be worse as well. A's, I'd be very surprised if they won close to 97 games again. Astros will still be up there, but their pitching's worse. The Angels are interesting. They could flirt with wild card contention. So there's plenty to watch in this division still, but alas, they are in the bottom half of this divisional reverse power ranking. The number 3 division is my division, the AL East. Don't want to gallivant for too long over this one, but we're looking at they were third last year as well. 418 and 392 was their cumulative win-loss record. A 516 win percentage was what that was good for. And it's very consistently one of the top divisions in baseball for a long time, pretty much this whole century. Since 2003, the AL East has gotten at least 2 playoff teams every year except for 2. 2006, 2014, 2006, where the Red Sox had a bit of a collapse in the midst of them and the Yankees making the playoffs every year. 2014, actually right after the Red Sox won a World Series, division was a little down, but it rose back up again quickly. By 2016, you have 4 teams with 84 wins. 3 teams made the playoffs that year. And then obviously for a lot of those early years in the 2000s, there's only one wild card team. So the AL East was pretty much always getting that wild card team, and if they weren't getting that next team up, they were getting the team after it. And also, this division is pretty much a guarantee to get the two most likely, I should say, to get 2 playoff teams out of any division. I think that's pretty much a lock that the Red Sox and Yankees are going to be 2 of the 5 teams. The problem is that the teams on the bottom are as bad as they have been for a long time. Baltimore Orioles, we're gonna see how that roster plays out for a full year now, as they traded pretty much everyone of significance at the trade deadline. The Blue Jays are as miserable as they have been in a while. I would argue that with the Tulowitzki, with the end of that miserable tale, they had maybe the saddest offseason of any team, I felt like. And if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. gets hurt, man, I don't know what you do in Toronto during the summer. It's just that there'd be nothing. So let's hope for them and for baseball, for that matter, because he seems like he's going to be a hell of a player that things go as should, and he emerges whenever the Blue Jays decide to call him up this year. But I mean, we thought for sure he was going to be up last year. Gotta think it's going to be this year. And then the number 2 division in our countdown. Number 2, they were number 5 last year, making obviously the biggest jump out of any of them. But I mentioned it earlier, the NL East. They were 487 win percentage last year, but all the talent infiltration. Although we'll get this tidbit out of the way. The Marlins are still trash, but any of the other 4 feel talented enough to make the NLCS. In fact, all four of the other teams have a PECOTA win projection of at least 84 wins. To compare to the other divisions, only the AL East even has 3 teams with 84. So it's very top heavy, and it's, you know, four out of 5 is pretty impressive. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Nobody appears higher, too much so, than anyone else. Before the Harper signing, I favored the Nationals. I thought they were going to have a bounce back year. I mean, I do still think they're going to have a bounce back year for a lot of ways, but whether or not they are number 1 in this division, I got to think about it. But I only had Philly 4th, so I think they're going to pass the Mets. I would put them ahead of the Mets right now, even though I liked a lot of what they did this offseason. They had a lot of weaknesses that they made an effort to plug up. Some solid moves to help their pitching, help support their pitching, I should say, because their starting pitching was already very good. And then the Atlanta Braves, you know, the team that just happened to win the division, they're still out there. It's going to be really fun, but they can't be number 1. The Marlins are too bad that this division can't be number 1. Especially taking into account just how good everyone appears to be in the NL Central. That's where we bookend with the Central, the worst division in the Central, the best division in the Central. For all the people in the middle of the country, I do not hate you. It's just the AL Central is just garbage right now. You know, I mean, these things ebb and flow. You know, the AL Central will rise up, but the NL Central is the number 1 division in baseball in 2019, and it's because it's very talented at the top and there's no glaring weaknesses at the bottom. The Cardinals and Reds, they kind of started slow last year. They made managerial changes. The Reds much earlier in the year than the Cardinals. They both got, you know, much more positive results. Second half of the year, sign of things to come, maybe, and then they both made moves that I liked in the offseason. The Cardinals, to me, are a World Series contender now. You know, it's been such a long time for them, but they're back in it. The Reds, probably around a 500 team, but when we're talking about that being potentially the worst team in the division, you know, the Pirates aren't great, but they never seem to, at least during this decade, they haven't bottomed out. They have enough pitching, I feel like, with having Chris Archer for the full year and Jameson Taillon leading. You know, they will stay in the mix for a while. The Brewers won this division last year, went to the NLCS last year. You know, they're still in it. The PECOTA projection actually has the Cubs 5th in this division, which I would not agree with, especially if they get anything out of Yu Darvish. I mean, that is. I mean, people talk about they didn't have the money, they didn't do anything this off season, but I mean that's an ace that's potentially just coming back. I mean, he only pitched like 40 innings last year. I mean, that's basically an acquisition. So they still have a lot of depth. I don't think they're the 5th team, but I just think it speaks to how good this whole division is, really. And that's where, I mean, well, okay, it's not actually where I'm going to have my eyes most on, because the AL East, it's the Yankees. That's obviously, you know, going to take some precedence. But the NL Central, going to be some good baseball all summer. And maybe we'll have our 3rd different NLCS finalist coming from there. The Cubs made it. Well, the Cubs made it actually 3 years in a row, 15, 16, and 17. But the Brewers made it last year. And maybe the Cardinals make it this year. They are back on the rise. The NL Central is back on the rise. And that's the reverse power rankings 2019 MLB. Thank you very much for watching Matty Baseball. At mattybaseball.net, you can find more content. Also, my YouTube channel, Matty Baseball. You can like my Facebook page, Matty Baseball. stay in tune with everything that's coming out ahead of time. Just look me up, like all my stuff. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, guys.